844-500-4242. Time now for the Chump line.
Will Joe Biden's presidential inaugural ball be an early bird special in the basement?
Usually the presidents have multiple balls, right? They go from one to the other, and he would be going with Dr. Jill, and I guess Hunter would be going, if Hunter is like the story in the New Yorker, Hunter would just be going straight to the men's room and asking people if they had any Bolivian marching powder. Oh, that's right. He's cleaned up his act now. Yeah, I don't
have like a seniors hour where it's done at 3 p.m. They have the dancing and dinner at 3 p.m.
And then the early bird special. The 5 balls will be the early bird specials 1 through 5. That's what they'll be in Joe Biden's administration.
If the Pelosi crime family doesn't do what the Biden crime family says, she might just wake up with a dog-faced pony head in her bed.
I love the fact that Peter Doocy is going to be the White House reporter for Fox News Channel. The one-horse pony, as not one-trick pony. He called him a one-horse pony, and he's going to be the reporter for Fox News. That was a good move on Fox News's part. Maybe they're coming out of their deep slump since the election. The Chump line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. And we're old enough to remember a time when social and media accounts like Twitter and Facebook were available to all users and allowed open conversations. A time when you could also choose Parler or Gab as your platform. How quickly times have changed. You could still choose Gab, I guess, but Parler's having a tough time getting back up and running again, or rerunning.
Howie, Eric Swalwell calling. Donald Trump is basically Osama bin Laden, and that's why I'm proud to lead this.
917. Remember how for years Jake Tapper et al. Hammered Trump for attacking Gold Star families? Just saying. And of course, we'll play the cuts when we come out. We played the Jake Tapper cut attacking Brian Mast, a double amputee in Afghanistan, saying he doesn't know what his commitment is to democracy here. Is that anything like Trump attacking the Gold Star father, who a rabid Democrat operative who attacked him at the Democrat convention in 2016?
The Democrats have a new name for fast-tracking the impeachment process. It's called Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah, I know that's the lead story in the Boston Globe about how what's going to happen in the Senate impeachment trial. I think it's going to be a lot like the first Senate impeachment trial. The only difference is going to be Trump isn't going to be the president anymore. So what's the point?
It's a good thing Amazon, Twitter, and Facebook didn't exist in the 60s. Otherwise, Teddy Kennedy would have become president, and no one would have ever heard of Mary Jo Kopechne.
Boy, is that ever the truth. When I was researching Kennedy Babylon, both books, I read all the old coverage of Chappaquiddick, and even the left-wing publications or what are now left-wing publications like the New York Times, Time Magazine. They were liberal back in those days, but they still tried to tell the truth, and they were devastating to Teddy Kennedy. Nowadays, I think that caller's right. There would be nothing about it. It would be frozen. It would be like what was done to the Hunter Biden coverage by the New York Post. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. This coverage is problematic, according to Twitter and our sponsors, or whatever they said to me when I tried to post the Nancy Pelosi's mob father story yesterday.
So now it's okay to impeach for using your freedom of speech. So I fancy removing Nancy for all of her appalling screech.
Yeah. That was such a telling moment yesterday when Louis Gohmert, the congressman from Texas, quoted her on the House floor and they immediately demanded, all the snowflakes immediately demanded the removal of Louis Gohmert because they were either too stupid to realize he was quoting Nancy Pelosi from last summer when she said she was surprised there weren't more riots, or because they just didn't care and they thought they could buffalo the low info voters again, which they probably did.
Listen, Governor Charlie Baker, I just want to tell you, it's more important that the inmates get their vaccination because, well, they're going to vote for me when I come out as a Democrat.
And again, he's sending the National Guard to Washington to fight these, to deal with these riots that they're predicting, which I predict aren't going to happen. And instead of using the National Guard to help out providing vaccinations to the elderly or even to the inmates. The inmates are, remember though, you want a vaccination? Sorry, you have to wait in line before the local jailbird population gets inoculated.
I saw a headline online yesterday. There are only 2 white rhinos left in the world. I don't think they visited Washington, D.C.
Yeah, there are at least 10 in the U.S. House of Representatives. Go a little north, you can see Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland. Just keep heading up, and you can see Charlie Parker and Phil Scott in Vermont.
Lovey, can you believe that mugwump Genghis Carr saying the Rolling Stones' best album is Exile on Main Street? Any Stones fan knows their masterpiece is Let It Be, with such hits as Bohemian Rhapsody and Sweet Adeline.
No. John Kerry is a James Taylor fan. Is James Taylor going to accompany the new climate czar on his jaunts throughout the world on his new U.S. government financed jet to make up for the humiliation of losing the 2004 election to the Diebold voting machines in Ohio? And it was such a disappointment after 60 Minutes tried to make up that fake story about George Bush to throw the election to him.
Hello. Thank you for calling the Olive Garden. To register for the deplorable discount, press 1. To inquire about our mask-free indoor dining, press 2. To book the Anderson Cooper room, press 3.
Maybe he posted that before we remembered that there's an Olive Garden at the South Bay Mall. How about the Rachel Rollins room at the Olive Garden for what did she call it? The substance abusers at that hang out at the South Bay Mall.
Emotionally disturbed substance abuse.
Do you have a table? I prefer the emotional disturbance room for a peaceful dinner.
You remember? I didn't know that mobster D'Alessandro's daughter became Nancy Pelosi. I guess I had a Botox sandwich. Yeah.
I, like many others, have wondered what Nancy Pelosi, or then Nancy D'Alessandro and President John F. Kennedy were talking about when they had their picture taken together back when she was about 18 years old. Did he ask her to come? Did he ask her to what?
Are you hinting at something?
Well, I mean, anyone can make a pass at anyone else. I'm not saying anything happened, but did he ask her to come up and would you like to see my etchings? Would you like a PT 109 tie clasp? He used to give those out to everybody.
That was your last Chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends, any hour between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It's hard to break these old habits, when you learn to recite something. It's like saying the act of contrition and having to change the words. Any time between the hours of 1 and 4 p.m. You can leave a message at the Chump Line. The Chump Line number is 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. 42. Press 2 for the Chump line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you didn't hear your message or you like to just hear a lot more Chump line messages, go to Chopped Chumps. That's our popular podcast of the Chump line messages that didn't make the one you just heard. We post them at around 7 o'clock every night, weeknight, and you can get them wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcasts. Wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcasts. The Chump line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. And we're old enough to remember a time when social media accounts like Twitter and Facebook were available to all users and were allowed open conversations. A time when you could also choose Parler or Gab as your platform. How quickly times have changed.
It's a good thing Amazon, Twitter, and Facebook didn't exist in the 60s. Otherwise, Teddy Kennedy would have become president, and no one would have ever heard of Mary Jo Kopechne.
You know, there was an East German spy that the president was betting. She was a prostitute. Her name was Ellen Romesh. And the story was broken by the New York Journal American, the Hearst broadsheet back in the day. You know how many editions it lasted? One edition, and then it was out. So there was censorship to protect Democrats back in those days, but it wasn't as suffocating as it is today, I dare say. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.